Spin-offs are the way of the film and television industry. When one TV show does well, it's only natural that the studios and producers want to capitalize on it. Usually, that means more TV shows like it, or even better, a spin-off. TV spin-offs can take on multiple forms. Prequels are common, so are sequels. There are also spin-offs simply set in the same world of the prior show. But not every spin-off ever made was good, nor were they as good or as better than the original show they spun off from. So what are the best TV spin-offs ever made? Well, here's what I think as I talk about the very best TV spin-offs, from worst to best, ranked. But first, shout-outs to Torchwood and Angel, two highly regarded spin-offs that I sadly haven't watched, and therefore will not be in this ranking. The Good Fight is a sequel and spin-off from The Good Wife, focusing on the side character Diane from The Good Wife as she moves to a predominantly black law firm, losing her status and position and discovering that being a rich white woman has certain privileges in life. Who'd have thought it? The Good Fight is a great show that continues the format and stylings of The Good Wife, focusing on current affairs, politics, law and order, and mixing in some drama and comedy along with great characters. This sequel series is more mature than its predecessor because it's on a streaming service, but it's also more experimental with animated sequences, musical moments, larger comedic beats, some surrealism, and more. Not everything The Good Fight strives for works brilliantly, but as a continuation of The Good Wife, it's more of something that's already great. And if you want a show that's dedicated several seasons to anti-Donald Trump content, this is one for you. Boston Legal is a continuation and spin-off of The Practice, one of the most critically acclaimed shows ever made that has seemingly faded into obscurity. The Practice was a dark, gritty courtroom drama focusing on a small, rundown law firm trying hard cases with heavy subject matters. When The Practice started to lose viewers and in turn got a budget reduction, James Spader was introduced as the new lead character, paving the way for his eventual spin-off, Boston Legal. Boston Legal is very similar to The Practice in terms of structure and focus, but it's far more comedic and light-hearted, with a platonic same-sex romance at the heart of the show and an exploration into aging and politics and much more. When it comes to dealing with big issues and relevant topics at the time, Boston Legal was one of the best at it. And it had a fantastic cast of characters with highly quotable dialogue and plenty of fun in there as well. It was a show that wasn't afraid to push boundaries, including the fourth wall. It also had a theme song everyone could sing along to, and in one episode, they did. After Batman the Animated Series came to an end, the superhero animated world still wanted more Batman. Yeah, we had a Superman animated show, and eventually we got a Justice League animated show, but we still wanted the cool, badass Batman. So, along comes Batman Beyond, also known as Batman of the Future. In this spin-off, set in a cyberpunk future version of Gotham City, Bruce Wayne passes down the Batmantle to Terry McGinnis. A new slew of supervillains show up to cause havoc, and along with a new suit, plenty of gadgets and lots of style, we got more Batman. But most significantly, at the same time, a new Batman. One that was just as cool and as interesting as the original. Hopefully one day we get a live action version as well. Batman Beyond looked new and original. It felt like a fresh take on the character, something we rarely see to such an extent as this. It was also, more importantly, good. I'm cheating a little bit here by including two shows. Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Deep Space Nine. They really expanded the scale and scope of Star Trek as a franchise. These shows proved that Star Trek was larger than just Kirk and Spock and the Enterprise. The Next Generation introduced a new cast of characters on a newer version of the Enterprise. It brought Star Trek into the modern era at the time, and it felt fresh and new but also familiar. As it progressed, the show really found its groove with cool, interesting stories that related to real events and issues and topics. And it spun off into 4 movies, proving once again the franchise potential of Star Trek, outside of the original show and cast. Meanwhile, Deep Space Nine took things in a different direction, with a darker look and tone, a more diverse cast of characters, serialized storytelling, a focus on war and on deeper, darker topics, and instead of a spaceship, it was on a space station. Deep Space Nine was in many ways the more mature experimental Star Trek show, and arguably the best of the lot. It again demonstrated the possibilities of Star Trek as a franchise, not entirely reliant on familiar characters. When Cheers ended, it felt like a group of friends moved away never to be seen or heard from again. They then made the classic, iconic spin-off we all know and love, The Tortellis. What, you expected something else? The Tortellis was a big failure, so it didn't last long. But it didn't stop them from trying another spin-off, this time focusing on Frasier Crane. This is the show you expected. Yes, Frasier Crane, the psychologist, got his own spin-off. This time around he moved to a new city, had to care for his ailing father, and he became a radio psychologist too, whatever that is. Frasier proved that there was a lot more to the character than we first thought, even if this version of the character was a tad more exaggerated than the original Cheers version. We were introduced to great new side characters, one of the greatest romance stories ever told, even if it went on too long, and it set the standard for classic sitcom style stories and shenanigans for years to come. Like Cheers, Frasier probably went on a little too long, with later seasons dipping slightly in quality, but this is one of those shows that no matter what episode you watch, it'll make you laugh. You'll immediately fall in love with the characters, and as a spin-off, it's arguably better than the original.
Whatever happens next, it's not gonna go down the way you think it is.
The only entry on this ranking that's a prequel rather than a sequel spin-off to the original. Better Call Saul is one of the greatest TV shows ever made, and it's a prequel to one of the greatest TV shows ever made. Focusing on the slimy, comedic, scheming lawyer Saul Goodman, called Jimmy McGill here, we see the origins of his character, his past relationships, his schemes and escapades, and his fall into the life of crime and the shady dealings he eventually gets up to in Breaking Bad. Plus, we see the origins and backstory of other Breaking Bad characters too. However, what really makes this show shine are the new characters, who we eventually grew to love and care for, whose fate was totally unknown to us. Better Call Saul is a slow-paced show, often tense with fantastic twists and turns and surprises, and a brilliant ending that ties this show and the final episodes of moments of Breaking Bad together very nicely. It's a damn near perfect show, let alone a prequel or a spin-off. And those are, in my opinion, the best TV spin-offs ever made. Let me know in the comments and feedback down below what you think the best TV spin-offs ever made are. And of course, subscribe to my channel for more content like this. And follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @the_GrantBurton, or go to Hive now where you can follow me there as well at just Grant Burton. Until next time though, thanks for watching.